Hi everybody, welcome to another Brookside's Story. I'm Quentin Schultz. I go by Quinn, Q-U-I-N, and I am a member of Brookside Christian Reformed Church here in Grand Rapids, Michigan on the southeast side. And we're having fun with these podcasts, introducing people from the church. And with me today, so special, Elizabeth Ringel. Elizabeth is our intern at Brookside, and that means, I assume, Elizabeth, you're also at Calvin Seminary.
Correct.
Okay, so tell us about your journey in getting from wherever you grew up to being a seminary student, and then we'll talk about Brookside and your work here.
Okay. So I grew up in a small town called Freeland, Michigan.
Freeland?
Yes.
Whoa, where is that?
It's near Saginaw. It's on the east side of the state.
Okay.
Yep, about a couple hours from here.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I went to Hope College for my undergraduate studies in Holland. I majored in psychology. I minored in dance and youth ministry, actually. During the summers in between college, I was also a camp counselor, so I really appreciate camp ministry as well. Ever since graduating college, I've always kind of thought, maybe seminary someday. And then it was December of 2022, and I had heard there was a visit day at Calvin. And so
At Calvin Seminary?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I checked it out, and I just loved getting to visit a class. I loved getting to talk with the professor. I got to talk with President Jewell, who worships with us at Brookside. It was just so great to be back in the educational setting, and so I decided to apply, and I got in. Now I'm enjoying seminary.
Okay, so seminary can be tough sometimes, right? What degree are you getting? And then tell us a little bit about your most fun and most challenging class. Challenging does not necessarily mean bad,
Okay.
right? It just means a challenge.
I'm going for an MDiv, Master of Divinity. Probably my favorite class so far has actually been my preaching class.
Whoa,
Yeah.
great.
I hope to do women's ministry speaking events one day, so I'm really excited to get a chance to hone my theological speaking skills. So I liked my preaching class a lot.
You know what? You have a speaking presence that's really great. And it seems to me, I don't know you well, but just interacting with you, you could do well standing in front of folks and speaking. So I'm so glad that you're looking at that seriously and that you enjoyed it.
I did.
You know, for some people, preaching or speaking of any kind is just really difficult, a lot of fear. So good for you. Now, about challenging classes, tell us about that.
My first year in seminary, which was last year, I took the Hebrew language class, Biblical Hebrew. And that was very difficult. There's a lot to learn in a small amount of time, so that was quite challenging. There were definitely some very rewarding moments as we would go through it as well, but it was very difficult.
Yeah, I was going to guess that you would have said one of the languages, the ancient languages. And for Hebrew, you know, that's interesting. I taught one time at a school in Canada,
Okay.
a seminary, where they taught the first semester of Hebrew in 5 weeks.
Wow, that's fast.
That's all they did. It was one course all day long, and they began speaking and reading Hebrew, and that was it.
Okay.
Okay, it was immersion. It was an amazing thing to see. I
Yeah.
said, I can't believe you're doing that. So I went to check in on it and sit down and watch them. Difficult.
Yeah.
Languages are always difficult. So you're thinking about ministry, perhaps being a pastor in a congregation or youth ministry, or say a little bit more.
Actually, not quite. What I'm thinking currently is I'd like to do itinerant women's ministry speaking. So camps and conferences is what I'm hoping to do. I love camp ministry. I've been a camp counselor, and I just really see God at work in camp ministry. So I'd like to be a women's ministry event speaker.
Fantastic. Do you believe this, everybody? It's such a wonderful vision for you to do that. And it's one that has a little bit of anxiety related to it, right? Because it's not like having a specific position that you go somewhere and you get your salary and all. You're going to have to craft this out.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. On the other hand, you may find some general association of Christian camping groups and so forth that you could plug into. Now, I like to ask people a little bit too about their growing up. And what was it along the way that, if I can put it this way, led you to Christ when you were growing up?
Sure, yeah. Well, my mom was the one who originally led me to Christ, actually, when I was about 5 years old. Yeah, I was blessed to grow up in a Christian household, and I went to Christian school and to church, and yeah, that's such a huge influence in my life growing up in a Christian household, especially how much my mom valued prayer. I know that really benefited me in my life.
Wonderful. I often, as a Christian college professor, would hear similar stories about mothers and even grandmothers having special impact on the faith development of younger women. That's great. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about what you're doing in this internship role for Brookside. Not to say that we want to try to work you too hard, but what are you doing for us?
A variety of things, yeah. For those of you who know Nicole, her and I kind of work together for the young adult ministry. I love being a part of the music ministry. Maybe you've seen me up front here and there with my flute. That's been a lot of fun.
Great.
Yeah. I've also been involved in one of the women's Bible studies, and I'll occasionally teach one of the kids' classes as well. So, variety of things.
And as I said earlier, we're at Brookside Christian Reformed Church on the southeast side of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we have a pastor, Pastor Paul DeVries, who, in my estimation, is one of the best preachers in the Christian Reformed Church. And you get to sit under him and learn from him. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we haven't had too many specific preaching conversations, but that would definitely be something that I could kind of pick his brain about. That would be cool.
Yeah, especially if you're going to get into speaking.
Yeah.
He's a terrific extemporaneous preacher, and I hope you'll take advantage of that with him, because he's so great on it. And also, if you'd like some feedback from me, as a communication professor, speaker, I'll be happy to do that. But I don't like to give people advice on their speaking unless they ask for it. And now my wife, who also went to Calvin Seminary, has the opposite point of view on this. She says to me, never give me any advice on my speaking. So I have to remain very quiet unless she asks me for it. Because it's one of those things that for all of us in our speaking, whether it's one-on-one, interpersonal, or in public, is so difficult. So here's the thing. Get to know Elizabeth. Elizabeth Ringel is here as our intern. She's around on Sunday. She's playing the flute. She's learning some things about different ministries here that she's involved in. And tell her that you appreciate her. You're praying for her and her work in the seminary now. That would just be a delight for her to know that we are encouraging her in such a way. And thank you for being here with us as intern, Elizabeth. Now, also, let me just say, if you would like to worship with us, on Sundays, it's either 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. We're on the southeast side of Grand Rapids at the corner of Kalamazoo and 36th. And you will see Elizabeth around too, and you can say hello to her as well. And maybe they'll catch you preaching one of these days.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
I preached for my first time in an evening service a few weeks ago, and it was quite enjoyable.
Good. Wow, isn't that great? Okay, thanks again for watching, everybody. Let us know what you think of these podcasts and any ideas you have for future ones. Thank you.